So I want to talk a little bit about communism and what that is. People are saying that the woke are like the commies, the communist parties in the country, and this is the beginnings of the United States transforming into a communist system. That's what the woke are pushing for, which is alarming because I found out some things about communism recently that, I knew the system was bad, but wow, this is just horrifying to me. Hello and welcome to my channel. I am the Anti-Woke Warrior. Please like, comment, share, subscribe. Make sure you're still subscribed. Hey, check me out on Twitter if you want to go on there. I do share some interesting tweets, and I also, of course, post my videos on there if you're more inclined to go onto Twitter and watch them. Like I said, I want to talk about communism, and my understanding of the ideology, the political system of communism, it might be different, might be wrong. Just let me know in the comments if I am wrong. But it's my understanding that there are different types of communism in the world. And what we see is there's a system where all the workers, they get paid the same amount. There's systems where there's tiers. There's different tiers of workers. So depending what tier you're on, you get paid a certain amount. There's a system where you working in a specific job type, you get paid. Everybody in that job type gets paid the same amount of money. So if you're a janitor, you get paid $30,000 a year. If you're an electrician, you get paid $40,000 a year. If you're a plumber, you get paid $50,000 a year. Doesn't matter if you've been doing it for 20 years or 1 year, you get paid the same amount. Now, one other thing about communism is that the people own nothing. And that's where we get into this notion that woke is the same as communism, because we've seen the Great Reset where it says you will own nothing and you will be happy. That's communist. The people in communist countries are not supposed to own anything. Nothing is theirs. And theft is rampant when you're when you go to work, you just take stuff. Why not? It doesn't belong to anybody. So why wouldn't you take it? Right? You might need it at home. You might want it at home. I had a Vietnamese roommate, and the story he told me one time, I wish I had the wherewithal to ask him more questions about living in a communist country at the time, but he was like, every once in a while we would get meat and we would eat it, but you have to cook it. So what we would do is we have to close up the whole house. All the windows had to be closed, doors, nothing was open. Because if my neighbors smelled the meat, they would go to the authorities and say, hey, look, they have meat, they have too much. You have to go get stuff from them because they somehow have more than the rest of us. And that's what it comes down to in a communist country. If you have something more than your neighbor's going to go, hey, that's not fair. That's not right. How'd you get more than me? So it's just crazy to me. There's a system like that. There's people that, it'll turn family members against family members. Think about it. If you have a family member who upsets you in any way and you know that they have more than you have, you can go to the authorities and be like, hey, they got this thing that they're not supposed to have. Now, China seems to have this weird system of communism going on these days. It's strange to me because it's my understanding that there are people in China who are born, live their whole lives in China, and are wealthy now. This is a newer development because, citizens aren't supposed to be able to own anything. So I haven't looked into it well enough. I don't know, but I'm guessing that nobody truly owns anything except their wealth. They're allowed to own money. I've gathered this from a friend of mine. He's desperate to date a Chinese woman. Just he can't hardly wait to get into a relationship with a woman from China. And some of these girls on these dating sites he's going on to, they make good money. They have good money, like millions of dollars. So I don't know how that works. It's from what I've seen, China is allowing people to engage in free enterprise, but the Chinese government ultimately has final say in what they do with their business and can step in and go, this is ours now. So it's still a dictatorship, still authoritarian, but they're giving people free reign to act economically, which is interesting and is allowed for a lot of growth and a higher standard of living for the people in China. But I'm not a political scientist, so if you know better than me, please correct me in the comment section below. But what really shocked me and horrified me were the accounts of Yeonmi Park, who was recently on the Tim Pool show. he talked to her, and some of the things that she was saying were just mind-blowing. And so we're going to take a look at that. I want to kind of talk about some of the things that she says and share it with you in case you're not aware of this. It's like, wow, we need to really, really make sure we do not become communist ever. So Tim asks her to describe a life growing up in North Korea.
So North Korea, almost like when I describe it, it's not like even different country. It's like a different planet.
Wow.
Right? They don't, in this 21st century, they don't have electricity. Right? And if you look at the satellite photos, it's the darkest place on Earth, like literally. So I say like we have Earth Day every day in North Korea. Very good for the environment. And we don't even know what internet is. Like people have no clue, right? And they don't have any outside information. So North Korea, literally, calendar begins when Kim Il-sung was born, not when the Jesus Christ was born.
Right.
And they don't even tell us that we are Asians. They say you are Kim Il-sung race.
So that right there, that's shocking to me. The calendar begins when their leader was born, and they are not Asian people. They are the race of the leader. That's how oppressive it is. They don't know the true systems that we use for measurement or comparison of different types of humans. Crazy.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
that's the racism or at the, the highest. So they do not let you know what the outside world look like. And I didn't even not know Africa, different continents. I never seen the map of the world.
Wow.
All I knew was North Korea, Americans, but they say American bastards. That's like a one word.
Really?
She said she just said she didn't know about Africa. She said she didn't know about the rest of the world other than North Korea and America. Now I find that hard to believe. I'm sure she knew about China, South Korea, Japan, the things around North Korea. She would have to. I don't know the exact limitations they put on geography in North Korea, but that's shocking that she's not allowed to understand there's like a wider, broader world out there. I wonder if they thought the world was flat or something as well. Just crazy.
I did not know I had it bad because I remember they were showing us these footages of Americans and showing the homeless people, right? And they look at America, there's no birds because everybody ate all the birds. And they show they cannot like eat the snow because they're so hungry. Basically, they're describing what we were having in North Korea. And then in schools like that, like they say, there are 4 American bastards. You kill 2 American bastards. Then how many American bastards left to care? Then as a younger, you said 2 American bastards. So even though when they teach you math, it has to be propaganda.
Interesting.
Everything.
What's happened now with this, what they call critical race theory, wokeness, being taught in schools. That, oh yeah, we're not teaching it. Whoa, no, we're not teaching it. But the math problems are like, hey, you got 2 white guys, and you kill one of them, then how many white guys you got left? So we're seeing this come to the United States.
Thing has to relate to one thing is brainwashing us.
Wow.
So North Korea is actually apparently is a religion. It's a kingdom, right?
Yeah.
Kim Il-sung's parents were Christians, so he copied the Bible. Said, "I'm a god. I love you so much, so I'm giving you my son Kim Jong-il. His body dies, but no, his like spirit is with us forever. Therefore, he knows what you think, how much hair you in your head.
Wow.
I mean, if the people believe in Bible, I mean, why would you blame people not believing that, right? Because they cut out every information, so people do not know even what is critical thinking is.
So how did it come to be that you decided to leave?
Hunger. I was
Wow.
13 years old. I was luckily by then I was living in this border town, and at nighttime I could see lights coming from China, and I was thinking, maybe if I go where the lights were, I might find something to eat.
So that's pretty crazy that the only thing that caused her to leave was hunger. And she says the hunger is the worst thing. I've heard her say that. Because, you're constantly in threat of dying. Now I would think that not breathing is worse, but obviously there was no threat to her breathing. And what would you do? I mean, if you had tuberculosis, you're probably too weak to really do, depending on the state of the tuberculosis, you're probably too weak to go anywhere and do anything. So that is interesting to know, that the worst thing for you to suffer through is like a threat to your ability to survive every single day. Ongoing, it's like, I can't get enough to eat, I need more to eat, I need more to eat. I've heard her say that she's something like 85 pounds and she can't gain weight, really. And it's probably just because she spent so long starving. Pretty crazy.
Cow died.
Yeah.
They couldn't eat the cow.
No.
That someone would have to come and take the meat and spread it around the country evenly to everybody or something like that.
No.
What would happen?
So North Korea, there are it's a caste system. They began with the communism, right? Let's make everyone equal. But now they ended up with the 50 different classes. within same people.
50?
Yeah.
Wow.
They divide 3 big categories and they divide the subclasses to 50 different classes. And you never can go up, you can only go down. So that's how they prevent people mixing around being married. There's no like you marry up. If you marry somebody in a different class, you go down with them. You don't go up with them.
Wow.
So in that case, one of the execution that my mom saw was this young man. He had TB. TB is a huge problem in North Korea, malnutrition.
Tuberculosis?
Yeah. So he ate the cow in the farm, and then they were executing him.
For eating meat.
Yeah, so I never ate beef in my life because cows are supposedly working the farm. So you don't have a private property. Nobody can own anything. We cannot own cows. We cannot own cars, house, nothing we can own, right? It's a communism.
So you own nothing, and you must be very happy.
Yeah, that Great Reset looks better every day, doesn't it?
Yeah, really.
It
Tell us
completely
about our
frees
future.
you, yeah.
Yeah.
So liberation. You own nothing, yeah. So if the cow dies, of course the officials gotta come and take it for them. And if the normal people eat it, you're gonna be executed.
What do
for
they
that.
do with the cow?
The official type elites, they divide it with themselves.
So they take it for like the upper caste
yeah,
or
yeah, upper caste takes it, and they call
Yep. Communist utopia, equality, everybody's equal. But some people are more equal than others.
even the shocking thing is like this upper caste don't even call normal North Koreans are people. They call us like trash, rubbish. That's how within North Korea different castes treating each other.
Fine. You would think of another human being as just garbage, just because they were born to a different family than you. Wow, that's really scary stuff.
So I was initially gonna go with my own sister who was 16 years old. I was 13, and then one day I got really sick. So they took me to hospital. And by North Korea we don't have like electricity, X-rays, right? Doctor just literally rubs your belly, and then nurses using one needle to inject everyone.
wow.
People don't die from cancer in North Korea. We die from hunger and infection mostly. And then they operated on me that day without any anesthesia, and then they said it's appendix, but it's okay. People cut bones in North Korea without any anesthesia. It's a common thing.
It's a common thing to cut bones in North Korea without anesthesia. Yeah, communism's looking better and better every day, man. I just hope, pray. Man, this is just frightening, the way that they're running this country.
Well, I woke up and they was like, no, you got malnutrition and infection inside you, and they closed me back. And then I could not go, right? I might mostly die from infection, so she had to leave. So she escaped first with her friend, and then
Was there retaliation from the government for your family?
it was too quick. And another thing is that in North Korea, a lot of people die from starvation. So they say, oh, I'm going to go to work. And then father leaves home and he doesn't come back and he died on the road to work. So disappearance is a very common thing for the people. You know, death is like always near. I mean, you see the death bodies on the streets every day. It's like trash.
You see dead bodies on the streets every day. She says it's like trash. Wow. That's how many people die in North Korea and they don't even do anything about it.
Right? So I never thought that was like, I'm normal. I thought it was in the morning when you go to train station, there are like so many bodies left out, and then they just collect it like woods, right? Bodies get very rigid and just put them together, and then they don't even like bother to bury them, just like put them like on the one side. And you see like rats eating human flesh. You see these children chasing these rats. They're eating human eyes first. Then somehow these rats have disease, so children die. Then the rats eat us back. This cycle between rats and kids eating each other.
It's just, that's horrifying to me. Communism is, I've said, is bad. But wow. It's so bad that people are eating rats, getting diseases from the rats, dying, and then the rats eat the people. I can't even describe how horrifying this is. It's like nightmare scenario.
Yikes.
Yeah.
Okay, so after the hospital, you're still 13 at this time.
Yeah.
And then, what happened next?
So I found a note that my sister left me and saying, go find this lady. She's gonna help you to go to China. So that was like right after I got out of hospital. I took my stitch. I was like not walking very well still, but I went with my mom to find her.
You took your own stitches out?
No, they did.
Okay.
And then the next day I with my mom went to the lady. We found her, and then she said, oh, I can help you to go to China, but just don't tell them that you are mom and daughter. And then just tell them you're older than like 13, right? They say you're maybe 18 or 19, and told my mom you're like 35. She was in her 40s. I had no clue why they were doing that, but which it was they were selling us to human
Wow.
traffickers. Yeah.
So
to get out of that hellscape that is North Korea, she was sold as a sex slave. She didn't know that she was going to be sold into this situation, but she says that it was better than in North Korea. I've heard her claim that. That's just crazy to me.
So what happens next?
So I crossed this frozen river, Yalu River, and I mean there are guards with a machine gun standing there going to shoot you if you cross. But because the human traffickers bribed the guards, we were able to go. And as soon as we arrived in China, the first thing was my mom being raped in front of me. But the thing is, so there's no sex education in North Korea, right? I don't even know the word sex by then. I don't even know what kiss was. Like, love doesn't exist. We don't know the
Love doesn't exist. This is so oppressive. You can't even love anybody. Holy crap. That is... How? They have oppressed these people so much they're not even human anymore. They've taken their humanity completely from them. As much as you can complain about the United States making us inhuman, this is beyond anything that evil that the United States has ever done. This is so far beyond what this country's ever done.
the concept of love in North Korea.
Now that sounds like the most villainous thing I've ever heard.
Yeah. We know love, but it's only love when we have love for the dear leader.
Of course.
In the written form. But they do not talk about romance love, so I never heard my mom say, like, I love you, ever. I never knew that was a word that people used.
That's something.
Her mother never told her that she loved her. It's just, I can't imagine a scenario like this where you just don't even understand compassion for other human beings. Wow, it's just mind-blowing me.
Thing I didn't know. I mean, I still imagined with all of the problems of North Korea, people, you know, I have this vision of this like dystopian world where the young men and women run and embrace, and they're like, if the guards find us, it'll all be over. Like human emotion still exists in these places. People still understand these concepts, but I suppose if the authorities, the powers suppress knowledge from you, you can't have these concepts.
So this is the thing, like in North Korea, there's no concept for compassion. We have no concept for human rights, liberty, love, all these things. It's like why George Orwell talks about who controls the language, controlling the thoughts, right?
Yeah.
Doublespeak.
Yeah, so George Orwell says if you control language, you control thoughts, and that's what's happening in North Korea. Is they're controlling the language so you don't think the way that they don't want you to think.
They write a new language for you. So therefore you're not capable of understanding this concept that we know here.
So now you leave North Korea, you find yourself in China, but you've been sold to traffickers.
Yeah.
So now you have another problem.
Yeah, I know.
And this, I mean, it sounds like that's, it's hard to quantify, but it sounds worse.
No, hunger is the worst thing if you don't eat, you die.
Yeah.
So in China, I remember like they told us, they don't even bother to force us, right? Like, oh, if you don't want to be sold, you can go back to North Korea.
Which would mean death.
Yeah, which means even if you don't get caught, you're gonna die from starvation anyway. And one thing that changed my mind was, for the first time in my life, I was seeing a trash can. And I did not know what it was, right? What is that one thing? And like, where you throw things. Like, what is trash? Like, things that you don't need. Like, what do you mean you have things to throw away?
Yeah, well, that's crazy. They don't even have enough to throw away in North Korea. They have so little to waste. It's crazy.
Gosh.
That's when I was like, I told my mom I want to stay. And they sold my mom for less than $100 in 21st century.
So you were separated from your mom then?
Yeah, and they sold me for less than $300. And like, because I was a virgin, and that was something valuable in China. So that's how I got separated from everybody and became alone.
So then how long were you in the situation for?
Almost 2 years. Yeah. And that's when I brought my mom to me. I made a deal with a human trafficker who bought me. And I was going to kill myself. But he said, oh, if you become my mistress, I'm going to help you to get your family. So I did. And then he brought my mom back from a farmer that he sold. And he brought my sick father from North Korea.
Oh.
What a concept to think that you're living in a world where the better option is China. The better option is to go to China, and not only the better option is going to China, but going to China to be a sex slave. Wow, that's just I don't even have words. I'm sorry. We'll just keep watching.
Father had this colon cancer he got from the prison camp. And he passed away before the Beijing Olympic in 2008. I remember the world was celebrating. But like North Koreans, you have to be invisible. You're always scared to get caught by the authorities. So he passed away. I buried his ashes around 3 a.m. in the middle of the mountain. I was 14 years old. And then 1 year later, we met missionaries from South Korea. And they said, oh, if you become Christian, we're going to help you to be free. And then I was thinking, like, why do I have to keep believing in something to be saved? But, you're so desperate. That didn't matter. Even if they told me, you gotta believe in water, I'm gonna believe in the rock, water, whatever it was. So I became Christian. I proved my faith to them. And they told us, we gotta walk across the Gobi Desert. And then if you're lucky enough not to die from the cold, because it was minus 40 degrees in February in the middle of desert. And then if we don't get caught by the guards, then we might survive. So I don't know the probability of making that journey, and now nobody going that Mongolia route. It's too risky, so nobody does it. So after Mongolia, we were in the detention center several months, and then they bring
in Mongolia.
They were moving around, and then they brought us to South Korea. Then they make us go through this insane process of screening. Like they check if you're a spy or not. Are you actually North Korean or not? And then they put us in this training 3-month program. And tell us that Americans are not bastards. South Korea is not colonized by America. Like, they tell us what, like bank, tell me ATM machine, and I literally thought somebody inside the machine give me money, right?
Wow.
Never seen such a thing. And in North Korea, we don't know what bank is. So just tell us how to take a subway. Like, tell us like we're like babies. We're adults, but babies. Never seen anything like this.
When you first got out of North Korea, were you surprised by the kind of foods that they had in China?
Yeah, it was shocking.
Like, describe your experience. What was like the first thing you had, or what was the most shocking thing about it?
But the thing is, you think when you are starving like that and go out, you think you're gonna eat a lot, but your stomach is not used to this oily, fatty food. So I remember I was throwing up constantly, and because I never seen this many cars and buildings in my life. North Korea, 90-70% roads are not paved, and only of them are in Pyongyang too. So never seen a traffic. I never seen a.
So there's no paved roads. There's no cars. North Korea.
Crosswalk, right? So but the thing is also, I lost everything by the time I was in China. Like, I was a slave, so it wasn't I could enjoy anything there. I was every day was a survivor. I remember, like, every day I felt like I lived 1,000 years today. Every day I goes by, and before I go to sleep, I put on my shoes on. Always have to look for the exit. When the police comes, where do I run, where do I jump? So ready to run every single day. Like, you live like that.
So now you've made it to South Korea. They put you through this screening. They want to make sure you're not a spy. But was there a point where they finally opened the doors and said, freedom is yours?
Yeah.
What was that like?
Scary. It was so painful. So
Painful.
scary. Yeah.
Something we all take for granted. Something that some of us understand somewhere in our being that is frightening is freedom. We would rather have the security of daddy government or whatever, a master. And she actually had to live that transition.
I mean, like, I remember they said, like, for the first time, like, so introduce yourself. And in North Korea, we don't say I. Like, we don't allow to say I. We say, like, we like water. Even though when I say, because that's how.
Like the meme.
It's not a meme. It's
No,
actually.
there's a joke where we make fun of communists by replacing the letter I with we. Or
Oh, yeah,
our.
they totally do that.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
And then, like, nobody asks.
That's crazy. That is crazy that they don't have individuality. This world is so, like she said, it's another planet. Literally, this is another planet.
Do you think in North Korea, right? So they tell you your favorite color is red because of revolutionary color. Your favorite country is North Korea because your favorite food is this, right? So now in South Korea they say, oh, if you don't know, just tell us your favorite color. It's like, what the heck is that? Do I supposed to know what's my favorite color? So thinking for yourself.
For yourself, you're not allowed to think on your own. You're told what you like. And the feminazis are out there complaining, oh, men control us. Men tell us what to do and how to do it and how to think, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, my ass. This woman knows better. This woman lived through it. This woman has not been allowed to be herself. And now these women in America want to say that that's how we're treating them as men. That's how they've been treated. Oh, they were chattel. Women in America used to be chattel. No. That's not true. Give me that crap. Wow.
Was something not trained. It was hurting my brain. It was so painful. I literally saying, being free is not easy. Like, if I was guaranteed that I'm gonna have frozen like enough potato, if I go back to North Korea, I would go back.
Wow.
Wow,
Yeah.
really?
That's how much she didn't like being free. And that's how much she didn't understand this concept of freedom that we grow up with in the West. That she would rather go back to this other planet where you're not even allowed to love anyone than be free.
It was hard.
So, like, if you could have survived, you would have chosen to go back?
Yeah,
Like
in
with food?
for sure in the beginning, yeah. In several years' time, I would have gone back. It was very painful to be free.
So the interesting thing, I suppose, now is that you come here, you go to college. The current culture war in the United States there's a very negative depiction of colleges, that they're embracing critical theory, Marxist ideology, and wokeness sounds Like there's similar aspects to what you experienced with the ideology being, told what you can and can't like and things like that. Not identical, obviously, but well, before the show, you said that the woke was crazier.
Yeah, I think that's what I said, like with the Fox News. Like North Korea is not even this nuts.
You hear that? No, so North Korea is not even as nuts as these woke-tards. Damn woke-tards out there, not listening to me, thinking you know better than me. You shut your holes. Damn it, you're gonna get us onto a path that's worse than what she described, where you're not even allowed to love anyone. You don't even know what love is. These maniacs in this country. Why have this channel? I wish I could interview people like Yeonmi Park, but my channel's not big enough. Anybody with any kind of reputation will not come onto my channel. Will not entertain the idea of having an interview with me, which I think is ridiculous because this is about the message. It's not about how big my channel is. I understand it. Part of the message is how many people you reach, but still, if I could get people like this onto my channel, my channel would grow much bigger, and I could get the message to many more people.
This is where do I even begin? But it just entire 4 years. I was so in North Korea by the time when I was born, the revolution happened such a long time ago. People are not passionate believers of communism, right? Collectivism. They just so much fear. If you don't, you get executed. So you have to do it. And like first thing my mom told me as a younger was, don't even whisper because the birds and mice could hear you. And she was like, your tongue is the most dangerous weapon that you have. The things you say is not gonna just only kill you, it's gonna kill 3 generations of our family altogether. So be careful what you say, right? When I go to school in the morning, she would not say, oh, be careful with the strangers, be careful with your mouth.
You hear that? You be careful your mouth. Talking is the most dangerous thing in a communist country. What you say. We complain about YouTube censoring us, about Twitter, etc., all these different tech platforms censoring us. In Korea, you can't even speak without being executed. It's crazy.
I'm worried that we're headed in that direction.
Exactly.
With censorship, with big tech, with people scared to speak out. There are a lot of people that say, I was tweeting about anonymity. I wasn't really tweeting about anonymity, but I was tweeting about people who don't use their names on social media. And people said, I'm scared that I'll lose my job.
Yeah.
I can't risk my job and my life from speaking out. And if people don't speak out, we slowly slip into the nightmare version of whatever that is, where
North Korea.
the things you're describing.
Yeah, this is how we go there. This is how it begins.
This is how it begins. The censorship, the wokeness. These are the first steps we're seeing this come to America. This communism it's budding here in America. Crazy.
Wow.
Yeah, that's what I like at Colombia. Oh, this is how the revolution began, right? Because, at Colombia, these kids feel like they are so oppressed. They get triggered. They actually cry, right, by the injustice they fear, how they are so oppressed and they're the victims. And they're not.
You imagine she's about to say they're not the victims because she's telling us about what real victimhood is. And we see these people crying about, oh my gosh, you said the thing I didn't like. Oh, you're oppressing me.
Faking it, they really, really, truly believe it. And the thing is, what makes me so sad is the North Koreans have to be brainwashed because we don't have any information. Here, on the tip of your finger, you have entire history, what Stalin did, what Mao did. You have know what this rot has taken us to humanity. But these people are so completely brainwashed, they think white men are the source of every single evil that we have. They get so much purges in Pyongyang. So I think, but the thing is, like North Korea designed starvation, right? It's like a Hunger Games. There are 13 districts and there's a capital.
Right.
On purpose, Kim Jong-un starves us. Like the other week, Kim Jong-un admitted that 11 million North Koreans are severely malnourished. He never did that before, but now he doesn't bother hiding it. Like, yeah, we have like almost 60% of the population are severely malnourished. Why he's doing that? Because one missile test that he does, he can feed 25 million North Koreans for an entire year. From 2017, he did 40 tests.
Why?
So if you just cut down few tests, nobody have to die in North Korea.
Why?
You think about it. When you're full, then you will start thinking about meaning of life. You can think about philosophy, music, art, right? But when North Koreans, every day, they don't care what's going on. Am I going to be able to find the next meal or not? Am I going to make it tonight or not? That's all they care. So people, entire population is dedicated to surviving.
See that? You want to control population. Don't let them eat. And she's already said, she went through hell to get out of a worse part of hell. And that worst part of hell was based on largely on hunger. The things that she's describing is like you can't do anything because you're hungry all the time. You can't think about anything other than how do I get food? How do I get food? How do I get food? That's all you care about. And the authorities are actively keeping you from getting enough food. So you're never going to win. It's a stacked deck. This is so insane to me.
Do you think that what you're seeing in the U.S. will bring us to a situation like North Korea?
Right now I'm living in Chicago. Yeah, I mean, Chicago is a war zone.
Here with the red salute.
No.
So have you seen the Black Lives Matter fist they show in the
Yeah.
does that symbol appear in North Korea?
I mean, like doing this thing?
Yeah, like-
Oh, yeah, totally. That's every time. Like, let's kill our American bastards, our enemies.
Oh, you
That's
raise
what-
the fist.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So this
That's what it is.
it's the red salute. It's the communist fist.
Oh, yeah.
You guys might know this. I was reading that when someone is joining the Chinese Communist Party, they perform the red salute. They
Yep.
call it.
Yeah.
The woke crowd is touting that red salute is the most ultimate thing ever. Is their symbol. It's their flag. They make that symbol. They make that gesture all the time. We're headed to communism, where you won't know what love is or compassion. Well, that was just mind blowing. Her recollection, her account of what life is like in North Korea. I hope I don't get a copyright strike for this. Thank you, Tim Poole, for allowing me to borrow this interview, to use parts of this interview to show my audience what communism is potentially like. I just want to get the word out about the things we need to watch out for so that we don't go down the same path. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.